Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, everyone, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Shri Shinitai Gauranga Bhagavan Ki Srila Prabhupada Ki Samaveta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 74, The Deliverance of Shishupal. And we'll read verses from 47 to 54. This is verse 54, which is the concluding verse of this chapter. Yaidam kirtayed Vishnu karma chaidya vadadikam rajamoksham vitanam cha sarva papai pramuchyate. य इदं कीर्तयेद्विष्णो कर्म चैद्यावदादिकम् राजमोक्षं वितानं च सर्वपापै प्रमुच्यते य इदं कीर्तयेद्विष्णो कर्म चैद्यावदादिकम् राजमोक्षं वितानं च सर्वपापै प्रमुच्यते. य इदं कीर्तयेद्विष्णो Mataji. य इदं कीर्तयेद्विष्णो कर्मचैद्यवदादिकम् राजमोक्षं विधानं च सर्वपापै pramuchyate. Word to word meaning translation by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His disciples ki jai. Yaha who idam these kirtayet chants Vishnu of Lord Vishnu, karma activities, Chaityavada the killing of Shishupal, Adikam and so on, Raja of the kings who were imprisoned by Jarasandha, Moksham the deliverance, Vithanam the sacrifice, Cha and Sarva from all, Papai sinful reactions, Pramuchate he is freed. Translation. One who recites these activities of Lord Vishnu, including the killing of Shishupal, the deliverance of the kings, and the performance of the Rajasuya sacrifice, is freed from all sins. So we'll read verses from 47, right? We'll read the translations and then we will begin. Emperor Yudhishthir gave generous gifts to the sacrificial priests and the members of the assembly, properly honoring them all in the manner prescribed by the Vedas. He then took the Avabhrita bath. Thus, Sri Krishna, the Lord of all masters of mystic yoga, saw to the successful execution of this great sacrifice on behalf of King Yudhishthir. Afterwards, the Lord stayed with his intimate friends for a few months at their earnest request. Although Lord Krishna is the master of all masters of yoga, such as Lord Shiva, still he was controlled by King Yudhishthir's pure love. Thus, the Lord personally saw to the successful completion of the king's sacrificial performance, and after that, he agreed to stay with his dear friends in Indraprastha for a few more months. Then the Lord, the son of Devaki, took the reluctant permission of the king and returned to the capital with his wives and ministers. I have already described to you in detail the history of the two residents of Vaikuntha who had to undergo repeated births in the material world because of being cursed by Brahmanas. Purified in the final Avabhritya ritual, which marked the successful completion of the Rajasuya sacrifice, King Yudhishthira shone among the assembled Brahmanas and Kshatriyas like the king of the demigods himself. The demigods, humans, and residents of the intermediate heavens, all properly honored by the king, happily set off their respective domains while singing the praises of Lord Krishna and the great sacrifice. According to Sridhar Swami, purport, the term Khechara here refers to the Pramatas, mystic yogis who accompany Lord Shiva. All were satisfied except sinful Duryodhan, the personification of the age of quarrel and the disease of the Kuru dynasty. He could not bear to see the flourishing opulence of the son of Pandu. Purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, Duryodhan by nature was very envious because of his sinful life, and he appeared in the dynasty of the Kurus as a chronic disease, personified in order to destroy the whole family. Srila Sridhar Swami mentions that Duryodhan hated pure religious principles. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनफलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमा ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्वशे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत श्री राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी श्री राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यं जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैतगदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणम् Hare Krishna. So I seek the blessings of all the devotees present here that we can speak from these verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yeah. So in all these verses, our acharyas have given a lot of commentaries. Srila Sanatan Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sridhar Swami. So I thought I should speak from those purports and try to discuss and explain them of what they are saying. So as we begin, we see here that a very, very elaborate and the most grand Rajasuya sacrifice has been performed. It has become successful. And the seed of this whole grand performance, where residents and denizens from all the three worlds came to be in this event and see the grand celebration, right? Uh, it's one in the universe because everyone from the universe is invited, right? It's a universal event. So the seed of this whole program actually took birth in the heart of Yudhishthira Maharaj, right? And that is his desire to glorify the Supreme Lord in the best way, Uttama Shloka, choicest poetry. So he is a Kshatriya, maybe an author also and a poet. So in his own language, he wants to glorify the Supreme Lord in the best way, the most wonderful way. And this desire is the seed. Srila Prabhupada once, when asked by a devotee that what is it that we need in our life that we can become successful in any attempt, the Prabhupada said in bhakti, desire, ichha. That is the most important thing. And very interestingly, all the living entities come to this world and continue their program life after life because of desire. And the mechanism of how it works, Prabhupada speaks in the fourth canto, the law of karma. We've all spoken about the law of karma. So Prabhupada gives one explanation of the law of karma. He says that all of us have desires, and what do we do to fulfill desires? We do plans, plan making. He says the life of every person is spent making plans how to fulfill desires, isn't it? At every level, everybody is making plans. Family, society, career, ambition, my health, my wealth, my property. Keep planning. So when a person who is not a devotee keeps making plan and continues it, Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gauranga Bhagwan ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Who fulfills the plans of this conditioned living entity? Who does it? Paramatma sanctions. And who does it? The material energy. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. So our desires and plan making are fulfilled by the material energy, by the sanction of Paramatma. And Prabhupada says, so as we keep doing plan making and fulfilling desire, a juncture comes which is called the death. And it all finishes. So Prabhupada said, does the plan making finish? He said, no. The plan making is going on in the subtle body. So after we die, our notebook pen, which is filled with plan making, continues in the subtle self. And then the Paramatma, knowing he's desperate, gives him another body. That is Paramatma's kindness. And when you go into another body, you don't remember your previous files. So Paramatma at a point of time reminds you, do you know who you were in your past life? And you had this desire, now awaken and fulfill. Prabhupada says you cannot desire anything unless you have experienced it in some lifetime. He says, if you have any ambition, that means you have had it or connected. So in this way, Paramatma keeps allowing your plan making to go on and keeps giving you newer and newer bodies to fulfill the desire. So Prabhupada said this aspect of keep getting another body to fulfill is, he says, the law of karma, of how it works. It keeps going on. Prabhupada said, I heard from Atul Krishnapur saying that, I've repeated it, that Pandit Ravi Shankar, he says, is playing sitar for last 7 lives. See, he has desire to become a world-renowned sitar player. The seed of it began 7 lives before. First life, he graduated state level. The second, maybe in 3 lives, the country level. In 4th life, the world level. And by 7th life, he was the performer. The Prabhupada says, whatever anyone is what they wanted to be. And whatever they want to be is what they will be. Whatever you want, Prabhupada says, the Paramatma will sanction and fulfill it. Now it may take the lifetimes of journey to fulfill. If you are the most influential person in the world, you desired it. When there are people who have wealth and fame all life, usually many people get into issues and their fame gets declined at some time. But there are people whose wealth, we were talking with some devotee, is like continuous. Fame continuous. Why? Because he had a desire. I want continuous fame and I want to be world renowned. So the Lord allows him batoro, punya batoro, keep batoring so that you fulfill. So he says this whole world is a place, a stage where the Lord is busy fulfilling the desires of the jiva, Paramatma, and through the material energy. That is how the game is, right? It's just like Prabhupada gives I think I heard from Radhesham Prabhu. He says, imagine a father is driving a car and immediately the small child says, Papa, बहुत हो गया. आप चलाओगे हम आपके अनुसार चलेंगे. आज हम चलाएंगे आप हमारे अनुसार चलेंगे. That is principally what every jiva wants. So he says, today I will go to the driver's seat and ride, and you sit in the rear. Okay, you can sit by the side or whatever. And the child gets off the car and says, either you allow me to drive or you go alone, I will come walking. And somewhere mid of the highway. So what will the father do? He says, okay, you stay in the highway, I'm going. No. Neither can he give him the steering. Because if he gives the steering, all will go to the highway. So what to do? So what is the understanding? What will the father do? There's no toy car there. He says he'll put the child on the lap and help him hold the steering and say, Ab chala. Give a full feeling for the child, fulfilling feeling that I am driving the car. But who is actually driving the car? Who is moving the accelerator? Who is moving the brakes? उसका तो पैर भी नहीं पहुंचता. कहाँ से चलाएगा? And he lets him go through. So the child gets a feeling, Ami Korchi. But who is doing it? Baba. He says exactly the same way the Lord works with the jiva. Where the jiva is acting and thinking, I am making it happen. But who is doing it? The Lord. Brahmaji, when he is given instructions by Lord Vishnu, in the second canto, he says, Brahmaji says this material energy is so difficult. And the seva you have given to make this universe and populate with giving bodies to every jiva according to his karma, it is again an impossible thing. Imagine you're told, even if you are told, sew clothes for everybody in this world, it'll be such a big program. He has to make clothes, bodies. So what does Lord Vishnu say? Lord Vishnu gives two instructions. Brahmaji, meditate on these two instructions and you will be empowered. Would you like to know what are the two instructions? What Brahmaji got the Adi engineer to make everything successful. In the first instruction, the Lord says is, Brahma, please understand, I am the doer. It's me who will do everything. And you are just my instrument. I'll work through you. And we see in the whole pages of Bhagavatam, at every place, Brahma wanted to create population. He was not able to. It's only from his arms, Swayambhu and Shatarupa came, which even he didn't desire. And then he wanted a place, and the earth had fallen into the Garbhodaka, and Varaha came to give the place. Log mil gaye, kshetra nahi mila seva karne ka. So everything was created, prompted, and made happen by the Lord. So he said the first instruction is, Brahmaji, please understand, I am the doer. You are my instrument. And what is the second instruction? What is the second instruction Brahma got? Whenever you get bewildered, remember the first instruction. Right? Whenever you feel in life, you're feeling bewildered, hoche na, ki korbo. Then you wake up to remember the first. Arey, karne wala kaun hai? ये तो करने वाला तो ये है. Right? मैं तो just क्या बोलते हैं? Instrument. Then he says immediately you'll feel relaxed. And the Lord will also take his position. To make things happen. So desire is very, very important for a jiva. And this desire came in the heart of Yudhishthir Maharaj to glorify Krishna in the most wonderful way. And for that, what did he do? Perform the Rajasuya sacrifice. The Verses say here, the Lord saw to the successful execution of the sacrifice on behalf of King Yudhishthir, assisting him. He had the sacrifice accomplished easily by his methods and shaktis. Sama sadhayitva. So the sacrifice was initiated by Yudhishthir, but who made it happen? Krishna. That is the point. Like we are talking, all the jivas in this world, by Paramatma it happens. And for devotees, the Lord personally makes it happen. For the jivas, the karma and inertia of karma quota is through which it works. There's nothing extra you get. Right? But when a devotee desires, it's not Paramatma, it's Bhagavan, who is not neutral. He comes with a lot of things. So he can, that's why they say, the Lord, if you do bhakti, then your karma account is not kind of, now you can just depend on it. They said, if you go to an astrologer and you tell him, I am a devotee, he said, I will say what I want to say, but because you are being driven by Krishna and Guru, your game is different. Because there's 9 planets, they are under the adhinta of the Supreme Lord. Right? So Surya can do something, or this year they say Shani, it can do something, but they are all, pawns of the Supreme Lord. If he wants to move the pawn in a different way, he can do it. So he says, so that is why he said a devotee who is governed by Krishna and Guru uh, can, can do anything if they desire. If he desires to do something for Krishna, right, the Lord will fulfill. Like here, Yudhishthir Maharaj, he says, with all the Shaktis, the Lord saw to the successful execution of the Rajasuya Yagya. Like we were reading in the pages that literally it was like impossible for this Rajasuya to happen. Jarasandha, who will kill him? Shishupal, he was waiting at the strategic moment to say something and destroy the Yagya. And you see the Lord so dexterously worked that he killed him with not even a drop of blood falling in the sacrifice. The scene was set, like, if you see Daksha Yagya, a scene was similar. One person stood up and started pronouncing a curse, and the other person, like, it was just a battle between Daksha and Shiva. You know this, right? And suddenly, when the battle became, Shiva was quiet, Daksha was speaking, and then the associates of Shiva started, and they cursed Daksha and the Brahmanas also. Then the Brahmanas got instigated and they cursed all the, Pramatas and, all the associates of Shiva. And literally whoever came on the Yagya, everybody was cursed. They were cursed of that, Brahmanas will just be kind of become ritualistic and forget the essence of it. And they were cursed in some way, and all those curses are working till now. So yagya ke liye gaye the, one person got instigated and that instigation created the whole yagya. And how did the yagya conclude? With the head of Daksha, the person who had the seed of desire to do it, into the fire, and that was the conclusion of the yagya. Right? Obviously after that they do something to kind of finish it. But at the first sequel, that's what's there. But here the seed of desire in Yudhishthir Maharaj's head, what happens? We will read how the Lord personally does the dressing, hair dressing and clothing under his direction to give darshan. Not his, of Yudhishthir and Draupadi. Right? So here Krishna so dexterously, Shishupal's offense could have created immediately an instigation, and the Lord cured the disease without any other symptoms. So it says, the Acharyas explain, the Lord saw to the successful execution. So this gives us the learning that how the Lord and devotee work. The devotee desires to glorify Krishna in the choicest way, and he just desires. And who makes it happen? The Lord. He tries and tries and tries. And so the most powerful thing in this world is the devotee desiring. So all of us, if we want to be successful or we want to do something, what we need to really focus is our desire. Whatever we want to do, we want to desire to glorify Krishna, desire to make people Krishna conscious. This desire is the most important fuel. And then who will make it happen? Krishna, with all his Shaktis. Right? I, I we hear from devotees that Srila Prabhupada has a desire to fulfill his Guru's desire. And anyone who wants to assist him will get empowered by Krishna. You know? So Prabhupada doesn't want to accept direct service from Krishna. So anybody who wants to assist Prabhupada, Krishna and all his Shaktis will go and reside in that devotee to help him fulfill Prabhupada's desire. So he said, this is how our movement works. Everybody works. That's why we say na Avesh, Avesh, right? Krishna, he says, Krishna Shakti Bina Nahitar Pravartan. So each of us, our sincere desire to fulfill our Guru's words and then being empowered by the Avesh of the Lord to make it happen. And the Lord loves to be servant of his devotees. What does Mahaprabhu say is, the constitutional position? Gopi Bhartu Pada Kamalayor Dasa Dasa Anudasa. So the Lord loves to become the Das of his Das and work hard to fulfill his desires. This is the Lord's program, always. Right? And the Lord stays here, as it's said here, after the whole celebration. The Lord stays here for a few months on the request of King Yudhishthira. Right? Like always. So it says that the Supreme Lord, he stays up for so much time because of affection, the affection of the devotee. It says all his relatives went back with time. They all went to Dwarka back because they had all come for the function. But the Lord was still on. So it was not that the Lord immediately took leave. ये जा रहे थे, वो भी जा रहे थे, वो भी जा रहे थे. होता ना, सब रिलेटिव्स जा रहे हैं. लास्ट में कौन बचे? कृष्ण. He said, अब मुझे शायद जाना चाहिए because I have affection of the Dwarkavasis also waiting. So I need to go. So the Lord could not take an appointment of Yudhishthira to tell him. He was like, if I tell Yudhishthira, how will he feel? Like if you want to tell a beloved that, I want to go, that he's going to, be really wrecked down with pain that, he would go. So the Lord was keep giving affection to all his friends and make them very happy so that he can at one time take permission and then go. Right? He is very thoughtful. Just like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he wants to go to South India, when he wants to go to Vrindavan, he says, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Yadyapi Prabhu Tumi Parama Swatantra, Tathapi Prabhu Tumi Prema Paratantra. You're fully independent, but you're fully bound. You're supremely independent and bound to the love of your devotees. So what does Mahaprabhu say? Mahaprabhu, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, doing the role of a devotee, finds an opportunity to go and make requests to every devotee and get their sanction and make them happy. He cannot leave without making them happily give him permission. No force support. So he goes and tells, I want to go. He says, Mahaprabhu, why you will go now? Rath Yatra is coming. After Rath Yatra, I will go. Janmashtami is coming. I will go, Kartik is coming. I'll go, Dol Yatra is coming. Then after Dol Yatra, Rath Yatra is coming. So the Lord is kind of, requesting. So at one point of time, Nityananda Prabhu and devotees feel, I think the Lord is being a lot of, matlab, I think we have given him too much, क्या बोलते हैं? Like we have taken too much leverage. I think we should not make him, होता ना, एक बार हो गया, दो बार हो गया, तीन बार हो गया, 10 बार. And then the Lord says, अब जाने दो ना. He says, ठीक है, बस जल्दी आ जाना. So he says that Jiva Goswami says, the Lord is supremely independent, but he took permission to leave. And only when the devotee blessed him, or sorry, happily gave permission, then he said, Ab alvida, and I'll come back again. Right? So this is the quality of the Supreme Lord. He is bound by love. He is motivated by love. So that is why Srila Prabhupada is inspiring all of us. The only commodity that we need to work in life is in unalloyed devotion. Right? Shuddha Bhakti. Don't work for any other asset. The asset of unalloyed devotion is what we need. Only we desire for that in our lives. Then he says that the Lord, son of Devaki, took reluctant permission of the king and returned to his capital with his wives and ministers. Then Shukadeva Goswami is saying, I have already described to you in detail the history of the two residents of Vaikuntha who had to undergo repeated births in the material world because of being cursed by Brahmanas. Right? And the Acharyas explain that this verse concludes the story of Shishupal and gives a message that the Vaishnavas should not disrespect the Brahmanas. Or in other words, the Vaishnavas should not disrespect Vaishnavas and any other living entities. They should not disrespect. He says this is the concluding message. Right? And we're hearing wonderfully that this is most important because the Vaishnavas are the means to Krishna. They are the means to getting all the wonderful things in our lives. We want sense control, comes from Vaishnavas. We want qualities, will come from Vaishnavas. We want spiritual world, come from Vaishnavas. Whatever we want, the means is the Vaishnava. Chaya bega dhomi, chaya dosha shodhi, chaya guna deho dashe, chaya satasanga, deho he hamare. Oro, boshe chi sangiya ashe. He says, so we all have to understand that the good fortune in our lives can only come through devotees. Sab mere Prabhu hain, sab mere Guru hain. Like Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They are my masters. So he says, because Jai Vijay, the Lord is putting a drama stage to explain, they disrespected the Brahmanas 3 lifetimes of pastimes situation. So he said, always be very respectful to devotees. Look at them as Krishna's dear people. Recently, when Atul Krishna Prabhu had come and he was speaking, I liked this concluding point he made. He said that, I think Harshit Prabhu was asking on karma, and then he said that when Arjuna shot arrows on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, killing all the assembled combats, he said, the arrow of Arjuna purified all of them of their sins. And they took darshan of Krishna and they went to Padmapuri. They went to Vaikuntha Loka. So he was making a point that if a Vaishnava kills you, you get accelerated to Vaikuntha. Like Arjuna killed and he got accelerated to Vaikuntha. So I was making a reflection. That means, in the association of devotees or through the Vaishnavas, if you get some heat or get some karma, it is accelerated mercy. You would anyway get the heat. We would anyway get the heat if we were not in association. If we were outside, someone else, chosen or not chosen, would have given us the heat. But in the association, we are getting the same heat. But through the representative of Krishna. So that's not ordinary, that's extraordinary manifestation of our purification happen. This great Jananivas Prabhu was telling once that even if you have your eye blackened by a Vaishnava, आई ब्लैकेंड मतलब अगर कोई वैष्णव आपको घुसा मारे तो क्या होता है, पहले आंख लाल हो जाती है और क्लॉट होने के बाद काली हो जाती है. तो बोले इवन इफ योर आई गेट ब्लैकेंड बाय वैष्णव, ही सेड देयर कैन नॉट बी आशीर्वाद बियॉन्ड दैट. ही सेड थैंक यू प्रभु. ही सेड वैष्णव कैन नॉट गिव यू एनीथिंग अदर देन कृष्ण. कृष्ण से तुम्हार कृष्ण दीते पार तुम्हारा शौकती আছে. You know, either by love or whatever he deals, you will become very Krishna conscious. Right? So really, it really struck me when he said it. That means sometimes people say, अरे भक्तों के समाज में भी होता है. अरे क्या होता है? बाहर जो होता है वो तो होता ही है. यहाँ पे जब होगा, मतलब यहाँ पे थे, एक्सेलरेट करके कहाँ पहुंच जाओगे? और कृष्ण के पास. ये है वैष्णव की कृपा. वैष्णव श्राप भी देंगे. नारद मुनि श्राप दिए, कहाँ गए? नल कुबेर. नंद गांव के आंगन में मूवी देखने चले गए कृष्ण. सो द वैष्णव beats you, curses you, gives you karma, gives you heat, says most blessed, right? But obviously we shouldn't take advantage. Now I have understood. I want to send everyone back to, and you will see Krishna is kind. If somebody gets a little detoned, like, he gets off, Krishna uses him to make everyone advance and then takes him off. Right? He makes everyone humble and then say he is not understanding, he blasphemes, then takes him off. And Krishna gets the job done, to make everyone purified. So the Vaishnavas have this capacity to bless everyone profusely. So we should know that whatever we are looking for will come from the association of devotees. I had a reflection when I recently went to Kartik Yatra and the Festival of Gratitude, and I could see the emphasis of His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj is so many Vaishnavas have come, and now you can loot a lot of mercy by serving to get so many people at place. And you will see that is the mood that Maharaj has set of, the priority is an opportunity of service. And you will see the senior devotees, the younger devotees, all of them trying to do something to serve the devotees. So that is the real Ashirvad. Shan Mahat Sevaya Vipra, like when you serve the great souls, a taste for hearing comes, right? The Bhagavatam says, hearing taste comes from service. If you don't serve and get the blessings of the Vaishnavas, you cannot get realizations, right? It won't come because bhakti sanjayate bhakti, right? It has to dawn from someone's realized heart that you will get it when you accept it. And the capacity to digest that will also come from the Vaishnavas. So he says, serving the Vaishnavas is the key. And if we spend all our life making the Vaishnavas happy and making them comfortable and facilitating, we are through. Whether qualified or not qualified, Krishna will take us across. I think His Holiness Bhakti Prem Maharaj was quoting Devaki Nandan Das, who is Chapal Gopal Chapal. He said after he became a wonderful devotee, he would go place to place to go and find Vaishnavas and go and take darshan and do some service for them and find the names in the list. And when he would come back, he would quote the name of the devotee and remember him and glorify him. I met Achyut Das, I met this Das, all this. And then said he would remember them and take blessings. I think it's said in, I don't know which place, that if you remember a Vaishnava, 1/100th of the quality of that Vaishnava will come in you. Right? You heard this? you know, to get the reference. But any Vaishnava you remember, and we take association. He says 1/100th of his quality will come. So if you remember 100 Vaishnavas, he will become quality personified, exuding qualities. So the Ashirvad is so much, the Krishna knows this is the place from where he can get the exit. And if at this place he messes up, how can I take care of him? If I offend the Vaishnavas and make them, disturbed, then how can I help him? That is one thing he guards us, that place. Right. And further ahead, Shukadeva Goswami again says, purified in the final Avabhritya ritual which marked the successful completion of the Rajasuya sacrifice, King Yudhishthir shone among the assembled Brahmanas and Kshatriyas like the king of the demigods himself. So, the Acharyas explain that 2 times it's mentioned about this Avabhritya ritual. And this Avabhritya ritual, it says, is the sponsorer of the whole sacrifice, or like you say, the main person of the sacrifice. He is given a royal bathing. And after given a royal bathing, he is adorned, made beautified, and then he's on the altar for darshan. So who was the person who received it? Yudhishthira Maharaj. So it says, Jiva Goswami says, the bathing and hair dressing of Yudhishthir and Draupadi was performed by the Lord. The details of all of it. The Lord was personally getting the procedure of this Avabhritya bath. How they should dress themselves and how should deck themselves and hairdressing. And then they will be on the altar or on the throne, right? Usually the pujari dresses the Lord and the Lord gets on the stage. But this place, the Lord dresses his devotee and the devotee gets on the stage. That's how the acharyas say that it's again being spoken because it's not a usual happening, right? Of the Lord dressing his devotees. And then he says the whole 3 worlds had come to honor King Yudhishthira. Because everybody could see Yudhishthira Maharaj as being the greatest devotee of the Lord. Nobody was envious. Prabhupada says nobody was envious because nobody had envy in their hearts. They only had devotion. Right? Whatever is in the heart is what manifests. He says, all praise the sacrifice being most remarkable. All the righteous people pleased, whereas the wicked men became agitated because of their sins. Right? So one who is wicked, is sinful, he will get agitated. And what is sin? Disobedience. Sin is disobedience to God. Why? Because people are self-centered. So the reason people are sinful and envious is because of being self-centered. That's what brings to do something for your enjoyment, then it will be like cross the line. So he says, this world is very, very expert in influencing everyone to become self-centered. Right? And Prabhupada is working hard to make us Krishna-centered. We want to become Chakravarti. Yesterday we were hearing, what is Chakravarti? Chakravarti means center of a circle. So, we want to become Chakravarti. And Prabhupada said, no, you are not Chakravarti. Krishna is Chakravarti. Right? Everybody is busily making his domain, either on a virtual level, if you cannot make on a gross level. That's why the internet and everything is boosting because, everybody wants to be Chakravarti. But, nobody's following him, nobody's giving him place. But now we'll give you a illusory place on the net where you can become Chakravarti. Right? Do something and people will get around. And very interesting, this world is exactly a virtual reality like the virtual reality of the internet. Maya Devi is dealing with real things or kind of temporary things and making you feel it's real. And its manifestation is only the virtual reality on the internet. With the same desire of wanting to become Chakravarti. That's what's happening. So he says that that is the sin. That's why we get disturbed to see others being happy and successful. Because we want to be that. So he says, all those who were pious and righteous became very happy to see the presence of the Lord. So after seeing the Lord, seeing Yudhishthir Maharaj, it is mentioned that this Rajasuya sacrifice, became very special. In the third canto of Bhagavatam, it says, the Lord appeared in the mortal world by his internal potency Yoga Maya, came in the eternal form suitable for pastimes. He says, Bhushana, Bhushanangam. And then he says, all the demigods from the upper, lower, and middle universal planetary system assembled at the altar of the Rajasuya sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthir. After seeing the beautiful bodily features of Lord Krishna, they all contemplated that he was the ultimate dexterous creation of Brahma, the creator of human beings. So they mention, the Acharyas mention, the most amazing aspect of Rajasuya sacrifice is the Supreme Lord demonstrated his qualities, his beauty, and his dealings of affection for his devotees in an extraordinary way to make the whole sacrifice grand. Make sense? The Supreme Lord showed such beauty and interactions which was never shown to attract everyone because he has the most number of viewers. Right? Mahaprabhu's greatest weapon in his preaching was his beauty. Right? So Krishna on Rajasaya sacrifice said he extremely showed his beauty so that everybody is captured. And not only he showed beauty, Acharyas say, he says he reciprocated with everyone. Why? Why did he reciprocate with everyone? Obviously because all are devotees, but because he wanted to make the Rajasuya a remarkable performance. That's why the Lord expressed extreme beauty and reciprocated with everyone on a personalized aspect to make the sacrifice the most grand. He said before this, the sacrifice kind of was done by Varuna or like some very big sacrifice. He said this kind of superseded it beyond. And what is the reason it got superseded? Krishna's extreme beauty and reciprocation of affection with his devotees. This was not in Varuna's pastime. The grandeur was there, but this was the element was what everyone left the yajna with. And why did the Lord display it? To make Yudhishthir glorified in the most choicest words. Right? And all this is happening because Yudhishthir wanted to see Krishna glorified. And what's happening? Yudhishthir is being glorified. Conclusion is that's what's happening. So the Lord, he says, he was literally committed for the whole thing. And then in the conclusion, it says that everybody was very happy, but one personality. One had extinguished, one had been assassinated, but the personification of Kali. It is said when Duryodhan was born, he said there was literally violence in the atmosphere, and all the donkeys were braying like anything, heralding the coming of their king. She was no ordinary soul. The personification of Kali, quarrel and hypocrisy. It says he was completely lamentful, and he could not, मतलब और उसको लगाया भी कहाँ सेवा में, gifts में. The Lord also knows how to do it, like और बॉयल को पकाओ पूरा वो द्वेष की अग्नि में पूरा राख हो गया. Yudhishthir is on one extreme, and Duryodhan was also sent to an extreme. So he was intolerable, and he was like, he said, I just couldn't tolerate dharma, and he couldn't tolerate the Lord's worship. He couldn't tolerate the Vaishnavas. So he says, Kali is this. Kali means, extreme self-centeredness. You can't tolerate any worship of anyone. Uh, my question is, why do we need to take so much money and spend it to make temples? Cannot the Lord be worshipped in like patram, pushpam, phalam, thoyam? Right? Why do we need to spend? And that money that we save, we can give out to poor people and feed them. Right? Isn't it a very wonderful thought? And people would outrightly say it. प्रभु जी ये प्रश्न हमको हर समय होता है. आप तो अच्छे हैं, आपकी बातें भी बहुत अच्छी हैं, पर आप करते क्यों हो? संचय करके मंदिर निर्माण के लिए इतना धनराशि. So I was addressing it. I was saying that wonderful point. I'm going to say this, one of the remarkable point made. I said, whenever you think about the Lord getting a temple and so much spending, you remember all poor people, bhuke nange. Now, when you go for an outing to an outstation, or go to the Switzerland, go to Middle East, and spend crores of rupees, why don't bhuke nange come into your consciousness? Right? You go to exotic places and how much would it spend? Lakhs and crores. क्यों आपके मन में तब भूखे नंगे नहीं आते? जब ठाकुर जी के लिए थोड़ा कुछ हो जाता है तो भूखे नंगे याद आ जाते. I said sheer envy. Sheer envy. It's no emotion of compassion you're talking about. It's envy that we're talking about. Right? So that's why we become intolerable. Now we don't become intolerable otherwise. So he said this envy is so pronounced with everyone. I want to say, if Balaji gets a beautiful jeweled crown, he says, why does he need it? He's saying, I need it. So that's the kind. So Duryodhan is a personification of that envy, wickedness. So Kali Yuga means this is what you'll find. And that is why Prabhupada says, Kalau doshe nide rajan कीर्तना देव कृष्ण. महाप्रभु क्या किए? सबको कीर्तन में नचवाए. लोगों की बुद्धि भ्रष्ट है, समझाओगे समझेंगे नहीं, जो कहोगे उस पर भी ईर्ष्या करेंगे. तो आप उनको कीर्तन में से नचवाओ तो थोड़ा सा दिमाग खुलेगा, और थोड़ा जो दिमाग खुला उसमें फिलॉसफी घुसा दो और फिर नचवा के प्रसाद खिला दो, ठीक ठीक हो गया जाओ अभी. तो वो क्या बोलते हैं, जस्ट लाइक दिस वायरस ही सेज इज क्रोनिक डिसीज वायरस फॉर दुर्योधन. So like that we have to be expert in injecting the spiritual aspect. And then it concludes in the last, he says, very interestingly it concludes, he says, anyone who recites this pastime of liberation of the kings, killing of Jarasandha, and Rajasuya sacrifice. So he says, here it is said it's freed from all sins. Jiva Goswami says, anyone who recites this, he'll be freed of all obstacles to bhakti. And then Sanatan Goswami says, by revealing these glories to others, you'll be freed of sins, including prarabdha sins, in a remarkable way. Pramuchyate. Right? पाप चला जाएगा, प्रारब्ध चला जाएगा, भक्ति के सारे जो विघ्न हैं वो चले जाएंगे. All what we have to do is to broadcast the glories of the Lord. And Prabhupada is asking all of us to distribute his books, give his Gita to others, so which is broadcasting the glory. So if you broadcast the glories of the Lord, Then he says, since prarabdha, obstacles, everything will go away. All that we need to is broadcast. Right? So Prabhupada said, we are in Krishna's party. And our only program is canvassing. आपने देखा है जब इलेक्शन अभी होगा अप्रैल में, तैयारी हो रही है, कभी कभी नुक्कड़ में देखते हैं रोड के सामने तंबू लगाया है, साउंड सिस्टम हेवी लगाया है, चेयर्स बिछा दी है, और एक आदमी माइक के ऊपर जोर जोर से भाषण देता है. तो ऐसा लगता है पता नहीं कितने लोग आए. जाके आप देखते हो एक भी खाली नहीं है, नहीं सॉरी, एक सीट में भी कोई नहीं बैठा है. जो साउंड मैन है वही बैठ गया, तो उसको चेयर एक्स्ट्रा नहीं दी. और वो जोर जोर से भाषण दे रहा है, ये बोल रहा है, वो बोल रहा है, ये बोल रहा है, वो बोल रहा है. And then the person may think, why is he speaking so much? And anyway, he's canvassing, canvassing, canvassing. Where is the energy and inspiration coming? Right? It's coming because the politician is paying it. Otherwise, why would he be there? Prabhupada said, we are exactly the same. हम भी माइक लगाते हैं, चेयर बिछाते हैं. And what do we start? Canvassing, canvassing, canvassing of Krishna. And this world, I'll tell you, whoever is canvassed, people vote for. What is truth? Who knows? But whoever is canvassed to be the truth. दुनिया कैसे है जहां मेजॉरिटी जा रहे हैं आप भी निकल जाओगे. Whoever is canvassed, he will become. So Prabhupada said we need to canvass. And then Prabhupada concludes saying, just like somebody who canvasses for the other politician, who will maintain him? Who will give facility? Who will give him gadi? Who will give him body? Prabhupada said we are canvassing for Krishna. Krishna will thank you. Why do we need to worry? Just worry about canvassing. जा जाके ऑटो में, कार में तंबू गाड़ के, पार्टी बना के, यात्रा बना के, कृष्ण सुप्रीम पर्सनैलिटी ऑफ गॉड है, हरिनाम करो, ये करो, वो करो, ये करो. वो लॉजिकल भी नहीं होना चाहिए, प्रॉब्लम नहीं. जैसे वो कैनवसिंग जो करता है कुछ समझ में नहीं आता, मतलब ये क्यों कहा, ये क्यों कहा, बट बोलते रहो. और देखिए सबसे बड़ी बात है, उसके ऑडियंस में कोई नहीं है. भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर बोले ना प्रभुपाद जी को या इंजन, कोई नहीं मिले तो 4 दीवालों को लेक्चर, उसमें से कोई पुनर्जन्म में आ जाएगा आपके. जय श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि.